Welcome to week 3 of Inepsy Gate.
The controversy that is threatening to tear apart the nation and maybe ruin our careers for good. Finally, thank God.
Yeah, and it's fitting that the thing that ruins us is also the thing that unites the entire punk scene. That's what I love about it. Is like, in order for the punks to finally get along, we just have to be gotten rid of. Is that what I should say?
Is this like I don't want to make this immediately about the teachings of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, but like, isn't that?
Oh yeah, he'll come up in a bit.
Okay, but that's like literally what Jesus did, right? Is like he had to be sacrificed so we could all like get along, which I guess it didn't work out. So bummer if you're Jesus.
You told me that you didn't want this to be a long episode, and you've already opened up about 17 gateways of conversation that I could do.
Sorry, man.
If you wanted. But yeah, so for those who somehow casually drop in with this show sometimes and don't listen to every episode.
You can't exist. If you are a casual listener to this podcast, please tweet at us at Blink155pod and tell us like what fever dream this experience is like for you.
Exactly. Like, oh, okay, I like this song. Oops, I already said it. Fuck. No, we should bleep that or not, or just we're not gonna. Come on, there's more to it.
Okay, yeah. We can't do it yet. I'll bleep it. Don't worry.
It's too soon. So for those who are casual listeners who just drop in every once in a while and you're like, oh, I like this obscure Dogs Eating Dogs track, I'm going to listen to this episode. What happened was I, in passing, said that the band Inepsy was a really good Ottawa punk band. I don't know why I said that, and I'm not so insecure that I can't admit that I don't know shit. I'm definitely a big-time poser, but I also did know that Inepsy was supposedly from Montreal. However, me saying this wrong has started a wave it's like, it's been wild to see because, like, actual... Like, I don't know how to. It's too confusing to try to get into like the what is or isn't a real punk.
Just
but people
giving up on this right now, like just
people who look like people who look like a 80s movie style punk or like a grandma's worst nightmare punk have been weighing in. They've been posting about Blink-155. I found out that a bunch of caveman D-beat guys have been like teaching each other how to use Twitter because they want to get involved, but it's too confusing and daunting for them to figure it out.
Yeah, for people who like are not true punks like you and I are having trouble sort of picturing the punks we're describing, I think you're right to say it's all 80s movie punks. It's to reference a film that you, I believe, just watched, Josiah, in Jason Takes Manhattan when he sees the New York punks. Those are the sort of punks like in Terminator. Those kinds.
I
of punks.
will admit I've only seen the first half of Jason. Jason's not in Manhattan yet.
He does not get to Manhattan until like the last 10 minutes of that movie, dude. I'm so sorry.
But anyways, so the punks they've all got something to say about this. They're loving Inepsy Gate. They're DMing me. They're teaching each other how to DM. They're taking 2 hours to write back because DMs are so confusing. They're telling me, sure, I'll try to get this person on the pod, but they will absolutely not know what Skype is or how to use it. So, it's been this whole sort of bridging the gap between civilization and punk to try to get this conversation going. However, so here's some great.
I just want to offer a bit of like supporting sort of anecdotal evidence here, which is that like this is all actually true. Like you have been messaging me saying like, oh, I'm talking to this dude and he's trying to get one of the Inepsy guys to like understand the internet so that we can like this is all really happening. This is how punk we are and Inepsy is.
And the other thing, I'm repeating myself because I did get a D. Beatman on the pod later to talk about this, but there is also, I've seen other corners of the nation, they've been like, oh, I gotta, like people who are only into Jeff Rosenstock are like, oh, I gotta check out this Inepsy band, and that's also been hilarious to watch. Like I feel like we are creating a tear in the punk continuum by bringing all these disparate elements together.
And as far as I can tell, the only Inepsy album, and admittedly I have not researched this myself, but I saw some posts on the Blink-155 Nation Facebook group that the album everyone is gravitating towards is like the final album, like No Speed Limit for Destruction, which is not representative of Inepsy at all. It was like the sort of wild left turn before.
Right.
I don't know. They don't talk to each other and stuff, right? Like it's
no. So here's what. So I've had a few sort of like. There's been some DMing. There's been some groups of people DMing me at once while they've been hanging out at stinky D beat shows in Montreal.
Yeah.
And here's a couple things that have happened. I spoke to someone who was once in a band with Todd from Tragedy, who told me that he would ask his friend to get me Todd or Yannick from Tragedy. God. And the person told him, look, I'm not going to ask Todd and Yannick to go on a Blink-182 podcast. There's absolutely no way in hell they'll do. So that fell through. However, there are various members of Inepsy. They are not necessarily homies anymore. Some of them can barely speak English. I did get one member of Inepsy almost lured into coming on the pod. However, he politely declined. And what I found out in this that I think is very vindicating for myself is that one of the reasons that he politely declined is because there actually is quite a bit of debate over where Inepsy actually formed and what city they can claim as their home city.
You're actually like the punkest. Like you are out punking the punks.
Exactly. So I'm not going to say which member this is, but I do have an email here from a member of Inepsy. I'm just going to read a little bit of it because he did say I could share his answers via email.
So can we still say technically this episode is like feet Inepsy?
I mean, I don't know if I want to do that. I don't want to get shanked by a guy who looks like.
Stay out of NDG. I don't know which Montreal neighborhood the punks all live in anymore.
Okay, so this is what someone from Inepsy has said. I know it's not your goal to make drama, and it might be hard to understand why it can make some in the first place. But the beginning of the band is kind of weird, and official/true bio have never been made public. This is sort of in a French accent type, I think.
You should actually read it in a French accent.
Not everything from our bio on the Facebook page is 100% accurate. Just me on the show might create problem. Situation is more complicated than you think.
Oh my God.
So there you go. I mean, I think it's safe to say that we'll never know. But it's also safe to say that I was right and I'm correct. And so very quickly, I also put it out there to ask what is the most Blink-182 Inepsy song. So I thought I would just play a couple quick things before we get into it because that was I wanted to use this as a gateway to talk to the guy from Inepsy about Blink-182, but unfortunately,
or a guy from Tragedy. Like I mean, yeah. I could not believe how close you flew to the sun on this. Like without I guess becoming a speed addict.
Right, I know. Without because I do have a friend who told me that Tragedy has stolen a bunch of NoFX riffs, and it makes sense. There's so many octaves, but
yeah, and it's all like very Andrew Lloyd Webber. Like I was drawn to Tragedy because of just like the musical theater-ness of it all. But I stayed because I also love amphetamines.
Yeah, I believe it was Sarah from The Nation, not Sarah, my wife, but Sarah from The Nation, who said that my version of horseshoe theory is just a complete circle in terms of taste.
Yeah,
I think I am proving it right because, like, D-beat and pop punk shall never the twain meet. Is that
yeah? That's
thing
fine
to say. Yeah. But they're the same. They're exactly the same, like musically at least, with some of these choices.
100%.
But anyway, so I asked like, what's the most Blink-182 sounding Inepsy song? And I gotta say, Soap Punks with an X, who is someone who claimed that we did not know what the D-beat is on this podcast once, which like. I know what the D-beat is, okay?
Yeah, it sounds... it's like an onomatopoeia, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So do not ever say that, but I will still play your choice. You said that the most Inepsy song was Street City Kid, so let's check that out. This is from the album Rock and Roll Babylon, which just has, like, the most incredible album cover I've ever seen in my life.
shit.
It kind of sounds like we're the kids in America.
Whoa.
I feel like you could turn to that. However, I can't just leave it at that because throughout all of this, we're now also like pretty tight Twitter friends with a non-nation related page called Inepsy Forever. So they have said that the band's most beautiful love song is The Fury of Destruction. So let's hear that one. This is from the album. I don't know what album it's from, sorry. I mean, yeah, it sounds exactly like Blink-182.
It's there. It's all there. I got to say that letter really did feel like the beginning of some like NPR ass like true crime podcast with no real resolution, like where you'd be like, those answers weren't good enough for me, and so I decided to take a trip to Montreal to meet Guillaume or whatever.
Yeah, because I was surprised that there weren't more people involved named Yannick, but in my readings I did find somebody named Yannick spelled with a J, which I was like, my God.
Wow.
But ultimately, I will say this. D-Beat is the most French-Canadian genre, despite its origins elsewhere. Mm-hmm. But the bands you got to hear often have, like, a similar prefix, you know? So there's, like, Discharge.
Yeah, the OGs, yeah.
Disclose.
Yeah.
And then latter era, there's bands called Dysphere. And now before I say that, the other thing I was going to say something else, which is that, I've also been reminded of the differences between subgenres, and D-Beat fans have a specific look that one might confuse with street punk, but my guest so kindly reminded me that there are some differences. For example, street punks wear... street punks often wear those bum flaps that you see. Uh-huh. They have those like bum flaps.
Yeah.
And especially in Quebec, if you go to a street punk and ask them why they're wearing a bum flap, like, are you trying to cover something or something? And they'll say they're trying to cover dis ass tear.
Oh, even though I knew it was coming, it was still good. First of all, this is the best episode we've ever done.
I agree. I fully agree.
Second of all, do you and Chris talk about the shirt that he sent me? Or should I address that now?
Yeah, you know what? We mentioned it very briefly, but he did want me to mention... Yeah, go ahead and talk about it now.
So I know we should be talking about the song, but I have one more thing to say here, which is last week, in episode 2 of Inepsy Gate, the true crime podcast, we discussed the show that we did here in Toronto, the live show, where there were like true charged hair punks there, and we were shocked to realize that they were there for us, and they were super nice and very...
And that they like even know what the pod is. It's fucking crazy.
They had traveled from Montreal and then were disappointed we weren't playing more Adam song covers. Like, the whole thing was so sick, and they were like really, really nice. And then that day, so that episode came out on Friday, and then I got home from work Friday night, and I had a package from one of those guys, from Chris, that included a bunch of like records, some pins and stuff, and then this insanely sick Dis 182 shirt, which is like a combination of an iconic Discharge design and then Tom's face instead of a cool punk. Well, it is a cool punk face, but you know the type of cool punk face I'm talking about.
It's so sick, and actually that reminds... Okay, first of all, that reminds me of another little sidetrack I was going to do that I'll do in a second. But Chris wants me to mention that we forgot to mention on mic earlier, but if anyone actually wants to buy that shirt, I got one too. But I'm used to getting free gifts from our fans, so it was less exciting for me because it's just another day in the office, really. Just like showered with prezzies, like a cam girl. But if you want to get one, you can find him. It's his name. His last name is Goldsmith, and he's a rare punk who doesn't hide his last name.
I was like, you saying his name, I was like, we're gonna have to delete that. You can't.
I already asked him like 3 times, like, am I allowed to say your It's crazy. I know. That's why I think he might be a poser, because he allows his last name to be uttered. Yeah. But if you look up Chris Goldsmith on Instagram, you'll find it, and you can order the Dis 182 shirt, and he also has some discharge boots and stuff. Bootlegs is what I'm trying to say. I just tried to say it abbreviated because that sounded cool, and then I was like, I wasn't good enough at it.
It was all right.
Natural. But anyways, when this happened, the sort of kismet of it was so perfectly timed that you DM me. This is like one of many times that you've been saying this. I think you're starting to really believe it, but you were like, maybe God is real.
I assure you, I didn't mean that. It was a joke.
Well, I mean, either way, this whole thing has got me thinking, is there a Christian D-beat band? Wouldn't that be funny?
Is that what you're looking up right now?
Yeah, and sure enough, there actually is. They're called the Anti-World System, and they seem so cool. They're like fairly recent, too. Like, they put out a CD in 2017. But what I love is that they have a lengthy mission page. And this is the sign of a cool Christian punk band. First of all, their email address is at japuza.org, which is Jesus People USA. That's the home. That's the home of Cornerstone Fest. But they have like a lengthy mission statement, and it's not about like trying to trick people like Sam into changing their minds and stop being fest atheists, but instead they're calling the church on its own bullshit. So I think I got to say shout out to Anti-World System for being a cool Christian D-beat band. And yeah, I mean, I'm just glad that I found that.
Cool. Well, I'm happy that you could finally enjoy D-beat in your own way.
Exactly.
So the song "Disaster" by the band Blink-182.
I'm so glad that they have a diss song.
Yeah, you and I were going back and forth because like Inepsigate has been raging. I don't know that there had been the photo last week. Like literally, there was a photo at a Montreal punk show of like a bunch of like punks hanging out, and someone had a sign that said #Inepsigate on it that they shared, and at Blink-155 pod. Like it's wild. Like it's so Inepsigate is happening in the real world. Like
yeah, so we're like, we need to do something D-beat, but like Blink-182 is way too soft to have anything D-beat. But they do have a song called Disaster, and I'm looking up, and sure enough, there is a '89 UK D-beat band called Disaster, and their Warcry 12-inch is currently for sale for $75 on Discogs.
Wow! So if you want to add to Josiah's gift pile,
shower me in gifts.
But so this song was like, okay, this at least fits the sort of diss mold of classic D-beat. However, the song is, to your ears, quite bad. Did you say, Josiah?
Yeah. Although then listening today, I was like, it's actually not that bad. It's just I don't like the intro. It sounds like Savage Garden again. And by the way, if you want to hear us talk about more things that sound like Savage Garden, patreon.com/Blink-155.
You're of course referring to our the fan favorite Savage Garden exclusive, where we dissect their catalog.
Simple Creatures. We talked about Simple Creatures.
The Creaches.
Some of that sounded like Savvy Gardy. I'm just trying to talk as gross as possible to get rid of these punks. They've been hanging out for too long.
Yeah,
I want to go back to being a nerd, please.
It's cute that you think that punks are nerds.
I know that's really my biggest misconception. Like the subculture of people that's like, excuse me, but you've read the wrong label catalog number while you were referring to that release.
We spent 3 episodes talking about whether or not an MC is from Ottawa or Montreal, and like I would think that no one cares, but it turns out that a vast portion of our audience does.
Well, I mean, also it's just because I was right, and I was right to see that there was some discrepancy there.
Yeah, that's true.
And I may or may not know the true real answer that I'll tell you off mic.
Shit.
But
we should do that on the Patreon. We should disclose Montreal Punk Secrets is going to be a next. Oh, that's good.
It is really funny too when you think about the Dis naming convention that you can pretend everything is DB, like Disney or something, or like Disclosure, that like shitty pop house duo. I would always pretend that they were DB. But no,
what a fun thing for you to just pretend.
I've just been doing the pod by myself for 33 years.
In your mind.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It sounds a bit like Savage Garden. I don't really like Mark's monotone, low voice singing.
Monotone?
It kind of reminds me of, and there's been multiple songs that remind me of the U2 song Lemon, where the Edge sings like that. And I just think there's a lot of bullshit going on at the start of the song. But then when it comes in, I do kind of like it. But then I also stop liking it again when I realize that it's basically just all the things I liked about Ghost on the Dance Floor, but like more boring.
It's extremely Ghost on the Dance Floor. I mean, it's almost more U2 than some of the most like egregious trying to be U2 songs that happen on Neighborhoods. Like it's very, very prominent. But I guess because I didn't give a shit about the song at the time, don't listen to this EP, and you expressly said when we picked this song, like, I'll just do a shitty song because it has diss in the name. And then I listened to it before we started recording, and I was like, do I fucking really like this song? And I agree that, like, the Mark Lowe part is very bad. Like, very, very, inexcusably bad. But, like, otherwise, like, I'm not mad about it. I don't know if this is going to be, like, a song that I'll put in any playlist or anything, but, like,
that's such a corporate like way of deciding if you like is it listable? Is it playlistable?
Yeah. What would our churn rate be with listeners if we put this? Look at it.
What does that mean? Churn rate.
Churn rate is like people like leaving a service. Like Netflix has a fairly low churn rate. People don't.
Okay, I see.
You know? Right?
Yeah, I think this one might. Well, I don't know if it would. I don't think this song would inspire anyone to churn away from a service.
No,
I think they might be. They would neither unchurn nor churn. It would just be sort of nothing.
Yeah, I'm not churning in for this song, but like if I'm already on the churn, it's almost more effort to churn out.
Yeah.
So
wow.
Well, we're good.
The way that we can flip between DB and Christianity and then corporate media speak is just truly why we're one of the most underrated podcasts on earth. I think.
I agree. Or maybe we're like perfectly fairly rated. I was in a kind of very corporate boardroom today, like right sort of downtown in the financial district in Toronto, which is of course on Bloor Street. We're on like the 23rd floor of this building. You're like looking at the whole city.
CN Tower, yeah.
Yeah, we're in the 23rd floor of the CN Tower. And I somehow found a way to because I was kind of just there to be like, literally I was there to be color, like to be like, here's something stupid as fuck. And at some point I interjected with a story about like these Montreal punks and this un-DB related Montreal punk story that went over like gangbusters with all the lawyers in the room. And so like this is like you're joking, but in that sense, like I am doing the pod every day at work where I am like constantly talking about churn and
Cum ever? You ever talk about cum with these people?
I've reduced how much I talk about cum at work because I'm cognizant of the fact that I'm a like 34-year-old man, and that's just not something you should do in the office. But back in the day, boy, I love to talk about cum at work, and it's why I'll never be prime minister.
This is that sort of interesting zone of the year where we're not the same age. It's very strange.
Do you feel like a disconnect and a distance?
I do. And more diss words since it's DB week. Okay, I want to talk about the lyrics with you, but before that, there's been some questions about what this synth is saying in the intro of this song, and something I really like about it is one thing I read on Reddit. So let's see if you can hear this even.
Big
and
surprise,
what you think
man! You liked something on Reddit.
So some people think, it's saying like disaster slower or backwards. But then I read someone say that this synth is saying ejaculate, ejaculate. And I think...
No, because it would have to be ejaculate. Like it's not... I don't know.
Ejaculate.
No, that's not how I'm hearing it.
Ejaculate.
Play it again.
This might be like a I don't even remember Yanny and Laurel.
Yeah.
Ejaculate.
Oh. not hearing it, but it's you singing over it. I'm like, no, it's really there.
It just clicked.
It kind of just sounds like Eva et Nuage or whatever.
Right, yeah. Also, the Dogs Eating Dogs cover, since it is D-Beat week, I will say maybe more of a street punk look, but definitely some sort of back patch could be made of this.
It's still like
especially if there was different typographic choices.
Yeah,
I mean,
like,
the tattoo font doesn't really work.
A few tweaks, and this is proper D-Beat instead. It's more California than Quebec, I guess, but...
Yeah, totally. Okay, so that's the first thing I want to point out.
Okay,
the second thing I want to point out is that this is hilarious. So I don't use Spotify. I use Apple Music, but I generally just use YouTube because I hate to have to open another app on my computer, and there's already so much shit open all the time, and everything's... I was telling you before we started recording that because of last week's hacking that I did to get that very unappreciated video, I will say.
Didn't it it got a copyright strike or whatever on Instagram, so people couldn't
but it was
even...
still on Twitter, and it did not get the love it deserved. But because of my efforts to get that, I did have malware on my computer.
Yeah, you've had to reinstall everything. Like, that's real.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I just don't like opening new apps. So I'll usually listen on YouTube. So I've never listened to this like on a proper streaming service, but the official, because this EP is from when they were like giant scare quotes indie.
Yeah.
So this is like uploaded on all of their personal YouTube pages and on the Blink-182 YouTube page and shit. But apparently there's an entire verse missing or something. And so like on the Spotify version or Apple Music or whatever, apparently there's like more shit that happens at the end. But then on this one, it just like gets to like a shitty loop where someone just copied and pasted the end but didn't merge it properly. But it's on all of their YouTubes.
Well, that was my question is like, because as I recall, and I'm pretty sure this is still the case, Dogs Eating Dogs, because it was independently released, and I'm going to have to like look this up to prove it now. But one of the reasons why I think it evaporated from my consciousness is because it's not on streaming services, right? So like,
yeah.
Okay, sorry, and it is literally on Apple Music now. But
yeah,
I feel like there was
wasn't
a time
for a
when
bit.
It wasn't. And maybe that had to do with like them sort of kind of getting the band back together and getting all their business in order. But for sure, like I remember when I first got...
It was definitely like it's been churning and unchurning from the services, I will say.
Is that... So I thought... So I also listened to this on YouTube because Apple Music just wasn't open for me and I had Chrome open. And that loop is like very strange because it's not like an intentional loop. It's like a record skipping for the last like minute of the song. Insane. Are you telling me that's not intentional? Because I was listening to a version that I'm pretty sure was like on Blink's like official YouTube channel.
No, that's what I have open right now that I'm about to play this fucking weird loop.
And that's not how it's supposed to sound?
No, it's just like
my God.
I don't know if I'm at... Is it the whole end of the song? I didn't write down the code.
Listen to the last minute of it probably.
Okay, yeah, let's start. 243. Watch me get dinged for they'll find this fucked up loop. Like, it's not even like a logical loop. I don't even know how the intern could have fucked this up this badly.
Honestly, I already think this is the best episode of this podcast we've ever done. I would fucking die for it. I don't care. They can come for me. It doesn't matter.
I have another question. Like, because you're a big time tuber. You're basically Shane Dawson or whatever. You know what's up.
Yeah.
Can't you just switch out the audio of a video after the fact?
No.
Oh, I thought you could.
No, I mean you can add in like there are editing tools, so you can like I guess you could mute the audio, but yeah, I guess you.
So they can't replace it because I know I think on Vimeo you can do that. Like you can replace. Oh the video
Vimeo
with
you can like replace
version.
a link. You can't do any of that on. Can't do any of that on YouTube.
But still, just fucking what? They don't want to lose their 160,000 views on here. Like just re-upload it.
Well, you know, all the links that point to it or whatever. I'm going to now try to edit out the audio for one of my own videos.
This is going to crash everything.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear this weird loop at the end of the song. It's so, like, ungraceful.
It's crazy.
What happens at the very end? Does it go back to like? It just abruptly stops at 3:43.
I thought it was like an attempt to do something sort of like digitally arty because it's obviously not like you're not fucking with it in any analog way, but like that's just a mistake. that just lives on their like all of their official channels.
And like for years, there's been like message board and Reddit posts like, "Why is it like this?" And everyone's like, "I didn't even know. I thought this was the only version. I've never listened to it on Spotify before." What the fuck?
That's so weird. Like. So one of those things where, so recently, to speak to my own kind of tubing background, someone I think in an attempt to make fun of me for how increasingly gray my hair is, as a man who's almost a year older than you wouldn't know what I'm talking about.
You're so old. Yeah, I'm not aware of that yet.
And they said...
I also assume that in however many months it is, what is it, 4 months, by then I will also be like... lunching with lawyers and sort of
fully gray.
This whole successful life is just right around. Once I hit your age, I think it's all going to happen.
Oh man, you're going to be in the back of so many Ferraris as soon as you hit 34. So someone sent a photo of me from what is the most popular video on the This Exists channel, which is a video about Black Midi, and it fills me with like just deep despair because this is like the most popular thing I've done on the internet, this one fucking video, and I'm so like unkempt in a way that is not cool. Like I just look like a slovenly piece of shit, where like when I see people doing that shit now, I'm like, you knew a camera was pointing at you, just like brush your hair out of your face, maybe fucking shave a little bit. Like,
sorry.
Oh my god!
Have audio on. I just want to see this.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's that. I mean, yeah, your hair's a little bit like half. It's like half volumey and half flat in a way that's a little bit unnerving.
Yeah, and
otherwise, I think the scruff is quite becoming on you.
Oh, thanks, man. You should see from the side though. It always looks okay from the front, but mad patchy from the side.
Well, you're also very like I cannot believe how often you're posting your profile view. I mean, no one does that. That's so confident to be looking off to the side in a photo.
It was a way of, I think, confronting my fear of my goblet. So. The point of that story is that I look back on that and I'm like, oh my God, like I wish I kind of gave a shit. But I understand that sometimes you're just like, well, here it is, who fucking cares? But for a band who's much more popular than like me and my like shitty YouTube channel to just have this like trash fucked up version of one of their only 155 songs that you so easily could fix. Like, why not? Like, you put the work into recording it. Like, it's just so weird to just be like, it's just kind of how it fucking turned out. I don't know. Like,
I know. It doesn't make any... Like, I also understand that on some level they obviously care about their legacy as a band because it's all they... Whether it's by not making new music for Tom or by trying to relive the past, they clearly are obsessed with this thing that they've built in one way or another. Mm-hmm. But then at the same time, they're willing to just like let shit hang like that. I mean, even for me, the lyric videos that have typos in them, I would be losing sleep over that.
Like, it's just, you're a big, Blink-182 is a big corporation. It's like, take some, clean up your foyer, like... This is where your customers, mill about, and it's their first impression of you as a business, and you want to make them feel welcome and make them feel that you care. And I don't feel that Blink-182.
You don't feel welcome.
Yeah, I feel like they don't care. It's quite difficult for me.
Well, I don't know. That is insane. Like, I just think that's so funny, and I think
it's so
every
weird.
time I want to take Blink-182 seriously, then I find something like this, and I'm like, these are just colossal dumbasses. Yeah, it's crazy.
I also fully hear ejaculate now. Like when you were playing that loop, I was like, it's that's it. That's totally.
All right,
it.
let's briefly before we go back to talking about D-Beat, let's try to make sense of these fucking lyrics.
Okay.
Which actually, now that I have D-Beat fully in my mind, I think somebody could turn this into a D-Beat song.
Dude, the disaster, fine, but the opening line. Fall comes a loaded gun, black ties for everyone. Like, that's a tragedy song. Like, I bet he cribbed that from Todd Organic, like 100%.
Oh yeah, I mean, for sure. Or maybe like the our guest was. I think he's just too nice. Maybe he wasn't unaware of the the term stadium crust that people use to talk about like tragedy and From Ash. I could see From Ashes Rise doing this on one of their like slick Jade Tree sellout records or whatever.
Yeah. Jade Tree. So those are the best records, man.
I know. Jade Tree was good. Because it had Pedro the Lion. Anyways, this is what I think is the most D-beat. Gray stones that break apart. French braids, demonic art. The dead come alive. I mean, French braids... Actually, maybe not. I was thinking of a braid, but I'm thinking more of a rat tail kind of thing. A French braid is pretty specific.
No, but I think you're right. I think French braid in this instance is a double entendre, referring to the more traditional sort of French braid that, like, you know, many of us learned when we're young, or the French braid that like every guitar player in the St. Catherine's has, which is just like that side kind of rat tail, that sort of like Jedi ass looking rat tail that comes off the back of your head.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. Or yeah, like didn't have enough syllables to fit in French Canadian braid.
Right. Yeah. It's like, but people will know what I mean because the song is called Disaster, so they're gonna put it all together. It's a theater. A little of the mind.
Something I really did want to dig into was that the St. Catharines do have some shared history / at least one member possibly with inepsy. So it really is a flat circle.
Dude, everything's a
punk
circle.
is a flat circle. These lyrics are
the
fucking
St. Catharines
awful, though.
are like the primo example of like D-beat being pop punk, because they do like sort of what is like on a surface level, like kind of like they have 3 fucking guitar players and every song is boom-ka-doo, and then it's just like the most fat wreck ass like songwriting, and it's so sick. That's why that band rocks ass.
Yeah, but I don't know. This seems like it's Tom doing his non sequitur deep guy lyrics, but also while like thinking about Pride and Prejudice and zombies kind of thing. There's very much like a mall zombie feel to this that I'm not feeling.
Damn, you didn't realize I was spooky, did you?
Yeah, people have said that they're like, oh yeah, it reminds me of I Miss You era, which I guess just means like mall goth, maybe.
Yeah,
but it seems like mall goth in a bad way, where it's like someone who works at a kiosk that only sells Plants vs. Zombies card games. Like real mall goth, not the I Miss You idealized version.
Right, yeah, like a literal goth who works at the mall. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a clever allusion to some larger sort of cultural moment. The whole song just kind of feels like a little... it does feel like a little lazy, like even like Tom doing all this kind of imagery stuff. Like it feels like Tom writing a Mark song, I think, is something that we've talked about a little bit in the last couple episodes.
Yeah.
Like it's these like sort of attempt at sort of creating these larger sort of, you know, illusions, and they kind of feel a little empty, I think.
Right, and it is weird that this became one that they actually like played live all the time. Not that I don't even really think any of them. None of them are really. I mean, maybe I'll play you a little bit of one in a sec, but yeah, like this feels like not at all something that should be remembered. But then they put it in the set list like crazy.
Yeah,
but
that's actually shocking.
I will say that I like that for once in his life, Travis is doing something relatively simple with the drums. When he comes in, it's like, after all the like wanky bullshit at the start, it's nice to hear sort of a traditional floor tom punk beat. And also there is this cool little like where they're like trying to remind you that they're punk rockers at one part, and it's like kind of cute as much as it is bad.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I like to be reminded. Again, it's like these songs that are ultimately kind of forgettable. Like I'd still take 100 of these over anything from California. You know?
Oh,
like,
totally.
It just feels like and that was the thing, is like when it came on for me, especially with these like I honestly didn't remember what album this was on when you suggested it. I was like, yeah, Disaster. I don't. Maybe it's like a Neighborhoods bonus track I forgot. Like I really don't know. And then I was like, oh, Dogs Eating Dogs, fuck. And then I put it on, and it was like that thing of like you're kind of coming home, but like your mom's taken all of your like Army of Darkness and Blink-182 posters off your bedroom wall. And now it's like a guest room, and you're like, the shape of the room is the same, but it feels weird to jerk off in it.
You know, that's like such a cliche in movies, and it was recently even used in one of the best cringe watchers I've seen in a while, which was The Unicorn Store.
Have you watched
on Netflix. Yeah, I did.
Is it worth like a full on just cringe viewing?
There's like a few moments that were too cringy for me, so that's
and you watched every episode of West Side.
Yeah, like in the course of like 2 weeks. But I actually loved watching West Side. I don't know. The Unicorn Store is like fucking crazy. It seems it's like so twee and quirky that it seems dark. Like it seems like perhaps the while writing and creating it, they were all like there was a gas leak on set because there's just this like complete detachment from anything going on.
Yeah, that's sick.
So yeah, I definitely recommend it. But anyways, somebody on Reddit, and I'm just flying fast and loose with not crediting people this week from Reddit because I'd like to keep the Reddit drama going on. But somebody said that the chorus of the song reminds them of this Matchbox 20 song. Oh. I don't think I've even heard this Matchbox 20 song before. It's called If You're Gone, so I'm going to play it just so that we can have a little bit of Matchbox 20 and a lot of Inepsy.
I think it's an important balance to strike. Oh, yeah! Baby, it's time to come home. There's a lot of breathing.
It's weird how...
But I can hardly move, right?
It's called If You're Gone, I guess.
No, I know. I was just trying to figure out what... I guess you don't know what the next word of the chorus is.
No, because I thought I was too cool for... That's what I was just going to say. I thought I was too cool for Matchbox 20, but lately I've been hearing it and being like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
They're good.
Dude, there's a reason why Rob Thomas is featured on what is still, if not the, this has probably been beat up by like a Drake song, but like one of the greatest selling singles of all time and greatest singles of all time. Of course, I'm talking about 4 a.m. Smooth. Like that song's a fucking monster, and that's all. It's not all Robbie, but a lot of it's our boy Robbie.
And a lot of it is Robbie. It's true. Yeah, I'm sorry, Robbie. I just think I was just threatened by how handsome he is.
Rob Thomas is. I think he's like the Dan Reynolds of the '90s a bit. You know.
Oh, really? Like I could never gauge. It was harder to gauge before the internet how respected someone was or wasn't.
I fear that I remember reading like a Rolling Stone feature on Rob Thomas, like maybe even like 10 years ago. That was it was this like very sympathetic profile, and it had an interview with his wife who was like, honestly, it kind of sucks. Like Rob wrote these like songs that people loved and that sold really well, and he was on Smooth, and like literally people treat him like a punchline, and no one respects him. It was like, oh, Rob Thomas. But of course, like, you want your wife to say that, so.
I don't know. That seems like a pretty good... I feel like that's a good spot to be in. To be like the punchline who's secretly sick. But I think that's the Counting Crows vibe, too. I think that's the Tom DeLonge vibe, actually.
The punchline who's actually sick?
Yeah, like Tom DeLonge's the one that everyone makes fun of and doesn't take seriously, but he's everything. We need Tom.
The great thing about Tom is that, like, Tom has, especially lately, I think, sort of embraced... his place in popular culture in a way that I think lesser punchlines have failed to do because of like ego or like a total lack of self-awareness, which like I would normally is a characteristic that I would ascribe to Tom, but in this instance, maybe he's actually like pretty fucking self-aware.
Maybe, I'm perplexed by that too because he clearly is. He seems like the most egotistical one on one level in the sense that he has a savior complex.
Yeah. He literally thinks that he is going to solve like the mysteries of space and time. Like that takes some degree of hubris.
Maybe he does have the most ego, but that's why he's able to like swoop down and make fun of himself because he knows that he's like a god. Whereas Mark's inability to be like, yeah, that Blink-182 song actually sucked. Like 20 years later, he can't ever like say something was bad. And maybe that's because he's too insecure to be able to admit.
It's also still his business, right? Like again, think about it. Like if you're Pepsi can't ever say, yeah, straight up. Like we know that Pepsi Clear was like not good and people didn't like it. But if you used to work at Pepsi, you can be like, oh my God, we fucked up so bad with Pepsi Clear.
But Pepsi Clear's literally back now.
I know it's back. Imagine this podcast is a year older, okay?
I thought you go to Shoppers as much as I do.
I don't know that the Shoppers in Toronto has Pepsi Clear yet.
Oh,
but maybe I'm not. I don't
out.
spend a lot of time in the pop aisle.
Yeah, you're not a bevy boy like me.
No, because I drink alcohol instead. So I don't need to find like new flavors to entertain me. I just need something to numb the sort of just ongoing agony of existence.
There's a strange energy in the air tonight. I was thinking it's kind of crazy that of all the songs, Darius Burke did not parody Disaster. It just seems ripe for parody.
It does. I thought the way like that sentence was going, I thought you were like, but he did. Like it sort of it was such a like extravagant explanation.
I was like hoping as I said it that somehow something would pop up.
You would manifest it, like if you just vamp enough, it would like.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I think he might have a new alt account that he's hiding because he's really stopped his output, and I can't view his Twitter because of block. Oh wait, let me look in incognito. Let's see what he's up to lately.
Okay, yeah, take a look.
He said he's moving to Neptune soon.
That's interesting. I hope
that's kind of strange.
Is that some dark. Like Heaven's Gate shit? Like that's I just like if you know Darius, you could like maybe check on him.
He said I'm moving to Neptune soon, and then he put hashtag Earth is screwed. So, Darius, there is a home waiting for you when you're ready, and it is in the Blink-155 Nation, my friend.
Oh my God!
We're gonna get you into D-Beat. We're gonna teach you all about crust. It's gonna be so good.
Yeah, you're gonna be really into D-Beat, Imagine Dragons, and ska,
and Christianity.
Yeah,
at least culturally.
Yeah.
Look, say what you will about the religion, but the culture is unparalleled.
True, that's what everyone says.
Okay, I want to watch this one live video. There's quite a few where they do sound very shitty. This was in Prague in 2014, which is just like such a weird time to imagine Blink-182. And maybe they really did need Tom to leave and do this big reboot. That's the other thing that we don't really give them enough credit for. Like, if they just kept going, he would keep playing this shitty hollow body guitar and, like, dressing like a weird elf who lives in the back of a West 49.
He's also, like, the video is playing on mute for me right now, and he's doing, like, kind of like a mix of, like, a real, like, groovy hippie dance, but also a bit of, like, the kind of Sweet D, like air dancer kind of moves a little bit. Like, this guy's stealing my moves. Like, that's sort of what he looks like.
Totally. Well, and also there's some subtext perhaps here because the song was on Tom's set list apparently, but not on Mark's.
What?
So I think maybe they were trying to be like not play it, but Tom. So let's hear. Because remember they have like about 15 managers at this point.
Yeah, everyone has like their own little posse.
And I had it on my set list. Mark didn't have it on his. Hey man, we're just gonna have some fun with it, man.
Yeah, then he does the hippie dance.
Yeah, it's so
good. This, especially how shaky this is. This also feels like it's from a true crime doc. But maybe the doc will be about me, actually.
Yeah, dude.
Maybe the doc is going to be about my homicide spree that I go on as a result of this podcast, making me believe some QAnon type conspiracy.
Just the idea of like the introduction where it's like all Josiah left behind were clues. Approximately 350 hours of clues about his plans.
This YouTube part could have just been cut altogether.
It sounds like so many other songs. Like I feel like every time I listen to it, I start singing something else on top of it, and then before I can figure out what that song is, like something else is usurped.
Totally.
Oh, it's good.
I don't know, like, I just don't get why they'd play it, really. How about play online songs instead, you fuckers?
Dicks. Oh, dude, like, speaking of just, like, teens that you've accosted on the internet, I made it. Like, my photo is on Blink-182 Confessions. Like, I feel...
I saw, yeah.
Honestly, famous and truly seen for the first time. It's like
because in addition to being big among Montreal's D-beat house show scene, we are also finally infiltrating the world of 16-year-old Stan accounts.
Yeah, so that's normal and definitely.
Did you see the backlash of that? The post with you?
No, what? I didn't follow the drama. Sorry, I was just like, oh, my face.
Claudia and Sandra, who you can also get to know if you go to patreon.com/Blink155. So they run Blink-182 Confessions. Ever since I talked to them, I've kind of like followed them on Twitter and kind of like become a little bit internet friends with them. Not in a weird way, but they're my friends.
Yeah, sure. That's not weird.
Well, it does get weird because I noticed that they always write UWU. Have you seen that before?
No, I have not.
I mean, we're so old. It's like some new teen thing, and everyone's going to think, I just realized how much we're going to get roasted for talking about this, but UWU is like, if you just Google it, you'll see the face.
I can see. I recognize
it's supposed to be,
face, yeah.
Yeah, it's like some sort of face, so they always sign off their posts with UWU, so I commented on their post with the UWU, and then they wrote like, oh my god, the only adults who do that are pedophiles who are trying to pick up like Asian girls or something. so
you have officially crossed over. This is the beginning of the true crime part of this project.
Well, I mean, just one of many tentacles of the
This like honestly would be one of those true crime things that where like it goes off in one direction and then like there's this whole other thing that like takes you into part two where it's like
yeah, or it'd be like they would have to do it like the Fire ones where two different people do a totally different take because there's just too many
too many themes
like
and stories.
There's no editor who's gonna let this story pass just uncut.
No.
There's a lot of they're like, we got to get rid of some of this Christianity shit, or like it's like too much. But anyways, back to that video. I think it's quite passive-aggressive to bring up some minutia about the set list because the audience doesn't know about that, and now you've just immediately admitted that the song is probably going to sound shittier than normal.
Yeah.
And you've kind of made a dig at Mark, and it just adds to a culture of toxicity.
Are we doing the toxicity episode now?
Yeah, exactly.
The sort of need to call out things like that are like very sort of minor professional disagreements in front of presumably like over 10,000 people like must just make the act of being in that band and going out every night like so utterly fucking miserable. Like imagine being out there and being like, it's on my list and you're like, what the fuck? Like, dude, what the fuck? Like what?
Just like whisper that to me also, and then every time Tom goes to the mic, you're like, is he going to talk about like his latest deposit, the discrepancies with paid. I mean, I assume they don't get paid. How does it work if you're a rock star? Do you still have look forward to Friday?
Yeah, where you're like, payday,
it's the
baby.
15th. I don't have to pay my rent check this month or this week.
We're going out. The drinks are on me tonight. Like,
yeah, Olive Garden, baby. I don't know how it works, but you would just think like, damn, is he just gonna like say anything?
Is this the Say Anything episode now?
Yeah,
it's funny. I love the idea of like, we've talked a lot about bands being businesses. I mean, they're corporations.
I mean, I feel like I will say that you have mostly talked a lot about it.
Yeah, because I'm fascinated by it, and but just the idea that like when you're on stage, like you're at work, and the sort of petty squabbles that you might have in like a normal office setting still happen. Like the dynamic between people is sort of like a constant in any given professional environment. And so watching those kinds of like snipey, like bullshitty moments unfold in front of people into microphones is so incredible. Like there's all these like great stories about like the Stones fighting on stage where like literally like Ronnie Wood is having to like run like back and forth between like Mick Jagger and Keith Richards to like try to settle disagreements between the two of them, like while they're in the middle of playing Brown Sugar, just like so sometimes when like you see people like whisper in each other's ears, it's not like, man, like the set's going great, or like, oh, I'm gonna do this with the solo. It's like literally just like Keith wants you to know he's really sorry for what happened earlier, and then they like, well, you tell him to fuck off, and then you're just sort of like carrying water for all these people. Like I love it.
On a much more small scale, I'm not going to name the artist because it's that sort of small scale. But
it's smaller than a Pepsi. Sorry.
Yeah, but there is an artist I know that recently got signed to a big label, and they had a whole backing band and everything, and we saw them play like around the time of them getting bigger, and they've become more of like a sort of out there kind of like very like jammy sort of band. And the dude whose band it is, the sort of band leader, would constantly on stage be like turning around and like shushing other members and like doing like the cut it out hands or whatever to make them stop playing their part, like very aggressively and so audaciously that it seemed like it was part of the show. And then about 6 months to a year later, his entire backing band quit. So I guess it wasn't a bit. I thought it like it was so openly awkward that I thought it was like a bit, but it wasn't. So
That's fucking awesome.
it's so good. Artists are psychos, I think, is the main.
Uniformly, not us. It's the artists who are the psycho
I'm
ones.
the normal one.
Yeah.
So speaking of psychos, I've been trying not to bring him up for a while, but I gotta bring up this week. This is the most Leo Diho song of all time, and his cover video of this is amazing because it's a quote unquote studio guitar cover, which means that he's like very lightly blended in some very quiet guitar, but you literally can't hear it. I don't even think it's in there at all, because the video, his pretending to play, is not really matching up anyways.
Yeah, it's like a very dramatically lit guitar.
It looks
cover
exactly
video.
like this could be the Pursuit of Tone or like a Gretsch Tom DeLonge ad.
I could not,
which makes it even more fucking hilarious.
That he says that this man claims that like the fact that he looks exactly like Tom is like somehow just a stylistic coincidence.
It's cosplay. This is pure cosplay.
It's honestly worse than his constant racism. Is just his lies,
He looks so much like a shitty budget, like Canadian Tom.
This is the most Canadian Tom ever. Like if Tom was like a Canadian feature film that you felt obligated to watch in college.
The people who made the Terry Fox biopic made a Tom DeLonge one.
Yeah, for sure. The people who made the like Jack Layton biopic.
Yeah, this is like a CTV production.
Yeah, it's a Crave original. Damn. So this podcast has it all. Canadian only streaming platforms. DV.
What's the one that's gone now? That would have been
Show Me.
to say.
Show Me.
Yeah, it's a Show Me original.
Show Me was the Rogers.
Boring as heck. Stefan on Twitter, a great follow. He was pointing out that everything in Canada for some reason has a I at the end of it, like Show Me and Freshie. Yeah. And then after I saw that, I was seeing it everywhere, and there's like a new bank called Simply with 2 I's in Canada. What is wrong with our brains?
I don't know, man. I mean, we starting with sort of like at some point either deciding to or like other people in our bloodline deciding to move to this like foolish place. I think it's just like that was an early warning sign, right? Where it's one of those things you're like, we should have known. We should have known that there was something wrong with all of these people.
There are parts of this video where I legit thought it was Tom for a second.
Yeah, no, like if I just had this in the background, like if I put this on and Ashley walked by, I don't know why she would comment on it, but she would certainly, if she felt the need, say, "That's Tom." Who is this? I'm trying to imagine a scenario.
If she just happened to walk by and not sort of shudder in pure rage at what you're doing with your time right now.
Yeah, exactly. If in the sort of hypothetical scenario in which somehow that's possible.
Yeah, like the other thing that's weird is when someone has a doppelganger but they're the same age as you, then it sucks because it means they can't really play you in a movie. It has to either become like a Will Ferrell, Red Hot Chili Peppers guy sort of jokey thing, or you have to be like Shia LaBeouf and do some sort of meta performance art style thing with it. But unfortunately, like if Leo Diho came out 20 years from now, he could just play Tom DeLonge in a movie.
True.
And hopefully he would exist in a world that does not permit his sort of bigotry in his brain. But I don't know. Listen to that episode if you never have. Also,
that's a good one.
What a journey it's been.
Yeah, we've seen some shit, man. We're turning into like a seen some shit guy.
This is like a clip show, basically.
This is like absolutely the least seeker sensitive episode we've made in a while, I think.
Yeah, and the thing is, none of them are. Even whenever we try, it becomes even worse.
We do is keep repeating the phrase seeker sensitive because I love it.
Because no one knows what it means because it's a Christian thing. And so that's really what's going on.
What percentage of the nation do you think is like, because discovering that there are tons of like D-beat punks in the nation was like shocking. I feel like I'm not aware of people engaging with the sort of Christian chatter, but I'm not.
Yeah, they mostly
generally.
speak to me in the DMs because they don't want to be persecuted for their beliefs. But it does happen.
Okay, so you obviously you don't want to out anyone, for fear of their safety.
I'm trying to think, what was a recent Christian thing that I brought up? Someone DM'd me and said that they loved it, but I don't remember anything.
Like
my brain is so bad now.
Well,
it's crazy.
You're definitely gonna get some DMs about like the fucking anti-world scene or whatever that.
I gotta listen to that band. I haven't listened to them yet. I hope they're good because that'd be disappointing.
Yeah,
you
we showed them about like the first 10 minutes of the episode, which is like gotta be where most people fall off.
In the first 10 minutes.
Yeah. Actually, that was a shocking thing. And then we should get back to this song, which is like we finally got some analytics for this podcast when Apple kind of changed their back end to give you just some semblance of information about.
And this was like a year ago also when you looked at it.
And I was like, man, people probably listen to like none pod. Like there's no way that the number of people downloading the podcast are sticking with it because it's so outrageously stupid. And it was like the completion rates were nuts. Like people are someone's still listening to me talk about this. It's
what's the churn rate?
Oh, churn rate's low, baby. I'll give you the churn rate on our Patreon if you want. I'll look that up while we.
We should do a full data exclusive. I forgot because my day was kind of crazy, but I was thinking of releasing a exclusive that's just sort of the ambient sounds of me researching the episode. Like, not even. I'll wear headphones so you can't hear me listening to covers and stuff, but just like sort of the ambient.
Right.
sounds.
So you don't want it to be too engaging. Is what you're saying?
No. Like, and I also don't want to give because I'll probably release it before whatever that episode is.
So people have to like kind of guess what the vibe is that you're putting out in.
Yeah, just I don't know. Tweet at me if you want me to do that. I'll record a sort of ambient, but I want to see you listening to the whole thing.
Yeah, so. we're gonna be monitoring the completion and the churn rate for that episode.
So speaking of media jargon bullshit, there's no official music video, but I did find a pretty good UGC one, which does make me really love the song, to be honest. This is uploaded by, and I think this is some like horrible fucking white guy shit, but I do like get moved when I see these pop punk songs on the other side of the world, somewhere that I don't recognize, and then I'm like, they like that too. I feel like it's very like 10,000 Villages of me.
Yeah, but like that's like it's we live in a global community, Josiah.
Yeah, globalization.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good thing according to D-Beat.
Right. I don't know who's right, man. D-Beat or disaster.
So this is from the Dakshin Kali village, which is a municipality in Nepal.
Sick.
And this is Welcoming Summer in 2015. It's uploaded by Sunandeep Shreth. I can't say the last name, to be honest with you.
Shrestha.
But Shrestha. So it's just like the song, but I don't know, it's shot really nice. There's like all these friends, they're getting all excited, take the bus together, jumping in the pool at like the cool punk part. There's a guy dancing by the pool with a brewski, hanging out with some girls. He throws a beer can into the pool later on.
They're having like a race, who can swim the fastest.
I don't know why. It just like makes the song good all of a sudden.
Oh, they're all having so much fun. They're kind of like dancing. They're doing that thing where you're like, I'm having a good time, but you're like a little uncomfortable.
Right. Like someone said, make it look like, whoa, two girls kissed.
Damn.
That's normal. Fine. The thing is, they didn't put it in there thinking it was normal, but me watching it, I'm like,
you don't know what their
cares?
intention was. I think you're
Well, okay, let's figure this out here. At the 2:37 mark of Sunandeep Shrestha's video, which has 111 views, all of a sudden it switches to slow motion. and these girls do a very, very light peck and then laugh so hard about it. And then it cuts to a bro celebrating. I don't know. I think maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're just happy to be in love.
That's it. You never, like, there's also, at one point, there's a guy doing, like, rock hands, like, rock on. And then it cuts to another guy talking to camera. Is he telling the guy talking to camera to rock on?
I don't know. This video is incredible.
The meaning to this,
It's true. Yeah, I might be bringing my own biases about it.
Exactly. It's your internalized homophobia. Just saying.
Well, the thing is, like, part of me wants to be mad because it's a very bro-y video, but then the other part of me that like enjoys that it's foreign people
Right.
is celebrating it that way. So either way, I just feel like me watching this video and talking about it into a microphone was quite a bad idea.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm glad that this episode has, like, there's already a few things I've said that I sort of regret, and I'm glad you have one as well.
Yeah, just really, I might need to have a final once-over before this one gets uploaded. All right, do you want to listen to some fucking covers?
I do, man. I really do.
There's a toothpick on my desk, and I can't help but chew it.
Oh,
And then I remember why it's here, and it's because I was picking lint out of my phone with it, and now I'm chewing it. So
what?
that's good.
Dude. Ashley's work, they get all this, like, influencer swag all the time, and some of it's honestly sick, and some of it is that, like, just, like, so beyond useless that you're, like, astounded that someone thought of it, executed it, and that definitely there are influencers, like, posting about it. And so the one that I am, of course, thinking of is these, like, premium toothpicks. Like, they're, like, really thick wood. Like, you can chew on them for a long time, and then they're, like, delicately sort of lightly flavored. So I have, like, 3 tubes, and they come in these, like, these sort of, like, really sweet tubes that, like, nice, like, sort of like a sticker kind of over the top, which is like a nice cork. So as you break it, it feels like you're opening like a bottle of scotch, and then they are literally dipped in scotch. So you have this sort of peaty taste while you chew on this premium wood. And these things that like a fucking little sleeve of like 10 of these toothpicks sells for, I think, $10. Like, it is
Hell yeah. That is so tight.
So amazing that someone was like, what if toothpicks but for assholes? And then it's become
It's genius. I would buy that if it didn't have alcohol in it. I would be so down because, as I've said before, as someone who doesn't partake in anything like that, I'm just always looking for ways to like blow money on something stupid. Yeah. And if you had that, then you could be like, it's like you're having a cig, basically.
Yeah, I'll be honest, man. I got a lot of these things. Next time you're in Toronto, if you remember, in September when you're here again, I got toothpicks for days, and I would.
When you say influencer swag, do you mean like did an influencer release this, or they're just handing it out?
Yeah, because they
they
do some work with influencers, so they often are acting as this like intermediary between toothpick brands, I guess, and influencers. So they end up with, and I mean it in the sense of like the kind of shit that influencers get, like. You know, you get swag at work, like I get swag at work, but like we're not being sent scotch flavored toothpicks, you know?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, in general, if there's one sort of predominant theme throughout this episode is that you should send us stuff.
We are begging for swag, please.
I mean, I have swag, but no, I'm just kidding.
You recently
sent
me some swag. You sent me a couple of the cum rags and a Elvis postcard, which when I said, hey, thanks for the cum rags and Elvis postcard, you said, well, it's much more disturbing when you just type it out like that.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. Because also, I didn't really know much or care much about Elvis. I just wanted to see his cool house. But then I just, then there's always people who have to comment on everything, and I found out, like, oh, he's a big-time pedophile sex creep. So, yeah, fuck Elvis,
Damn,
I guess.
I can't believe you sent me a fucking
cool house.
Pedophile postcard.
Well, there was a specific reason I sent you that postcard.
Right, it is Elvis's, I'm looking at it right now because it's in front of me at all times. I will cherish it for always. It is Elvis's recipe for peanut butter and banana sandwiches.
And that's your favorite shit. So, all right. Let's fucking get into some covers, or else we're going to keep talking about ourselves for hours on end.
Yeah.
But when we talk about covers, we don't somehow. We really focus.
We
and,
do.
It's never.
We knuckle down.
So there is a video that asks the question, what if the song had a guitar solo?
Oh, yes. Honestly, I want to hear it.
Oh, well, okay. I guess I'll play it then.
Oh.
But I found one with an even better guitar solo.
Then I want to hear
That's
that
the
one.
funniest thing.
Yeah.
But maybe it will be better.
I don't want to hear two. Play me the best one.
Oh my God, you're so. If you would just let me talk through, we could have avoided all. This is like saying the set list thing into the mic. You know?
Sorry, this is us bickering at our job.
So I assume that this guy is like some sort of guy. I don't know. He seems to have a lot of followers, and he makes really good max res defaults. His name is Madcraft. And he's I think he's maybe a pop punk YouTube influencer type guy.
Cool.
Because he has like a lot of like.
Look at this font. That's a pop punk YouTube influencer fucking font for sure.
Absolutely. And so this video, there's a bunch of like drum covers and guitar covers, but this one is a guitar jam of Disaster.
Cool.
And it's by Tom from Madcraft featuring Otto on the drums. Now, I'll warn you ahead of time that the user Bang Oak 3 days ago wrote, Tom hates play guitar like that.
Oh, wow.
And I do think Tom does hate play guitar like this because just listen and you'll see what's going on. I mean, it's got to be almost a curse in a way to be that sick at guitar.
Here's the thing. Tom may hate play guitar like that, but Sam love play guitar like that.
Yeah, me love play guitar like that too. Because it's like, it's just so sick. It's undeniably
sick.
good. And also his Ibanez guitar is so ugly. It's like shiny chrome and it has like a handle in it where the whole guitar becomes brass knuckles basically. It's like so cheesy.
So bad, but
like,
good.
You get that good at guitar and then you can never be cool ever again. Like you could never do a sort of like cool guy scoffing it off sort of slacker vibe. You always will have to be a guy wearing what I believe is a Super Mario Brothers question mark on a t-shirt and a skew flat brim hat and just like shred on your side. Like even the way that his Marshall cab is sideways is probably for some sort of like tone mic placement. He's just like a fucking nerd now and he'll always will be, but he's sick at guitar.
Yeah.
What a blessing and a curse.
I think I'm subscribing to Madcraft. I like really love that. There's something about like earnest guitar nerdery on YouTube that like despite my own insane shittiness at guitar, I find so compelling. Like one of the only YouTubers that I actually genuinely really like is like Rob Scallon, who just does exactly like what you have described, where it's just like you're too good at guitar, and so like I don't know, here's like Metallica on a banjo, but it's just like because you have to be corny because it's just otherwise your skills are too like foolish.
Yeah, like definitely it's kind of scary sometimes when the Instagram Discover feed will feed me a whole bunch of guitar shredding videos, and then I just accidentally become such a Long and McQuaid man again.
Yeah, like I am honestly gonna watch just like shitty guitar videos all night now. I'm so stoked.
Okay, well, that was probably the best thing we're gonna see.
Fuck.
So this one is just this dude liked the chorus, so he just covered it instrumentally and he looped it 4 times. But you know what? I guess that's canon because their own YouTube page just has all kinds of. Someone should cover that fucked up loop. Actually, that would be cool.
Oh, that's like with the mistake, like, because that would be hard to master.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like some glitch, some like 2003 glitch shit.
Yeah.
This is by Miku Dato. Can't really read today, or ever because I don't read. I just love the chorus part of this song, so I cover it. Ha ha ha. Enjoy it. Maybe I will. We'll see. second. Did you open this video?
Yeah, so many brackets. Like,
Okay, but hang on. Right beside his computer tower, why is there just a salad dressing? I didn't notice that before. And the bottom left video, the salad dressing has been adjusted. So between takes, at some point, he did do something with that salad dressing. There's no salad in sight, though.
what the fuck?
Very Christian sounding, to be honest. But I mean, what is that salad dressing doing here?
That's another mystery to be explored on our true crime podcast. Like, that's going to be the thing where it's like, I listened to, like, and then it hit me. It was the dressing.
Do you think? Hang on. Does he have other? He doesn't even have other guitar cover videos.
Also,
in fact, when I go to his uploads, I can't even find this one now.
Sorry, when you again look at this video, so top video, the salad dressing is sort of facing out a little bit. Bottom right, the salad dressing has been moved a little bit, but that bottom left where you said like you first noticed the salad dressing moved, different shirt.
Yeah. Okay, definitely what happened is he spilled salad dressing on the red shirt. Because it's in the same place on the green one.
But is that because like he was just pouring it on himself? Like, because there's not like a fork. Like, there's nothing to indicate that like they were eating in front of this computer.
And I'll eat all kinds of shit in front of my computer, but I think in the like very unlikely scenario that I would make a salad from scratch at home, I probably would eat it at a table. I'm not going to be bringing a salad to the computer room.
Yeah. Some foods are like not for in front of the computer.
Yeah, because I don't know, because it's not like he went to the store, because, before you open it, salad dressing can be room temp, but this salad dressing's clearly been used. It's like not very full.
Yeah,
Was he dipping?
Yeah, I'm trying to look at other videos to see like if there's like if there's always like is he eating a lot of salad? So there's another video, Jam Cat Billig G Haha, and there's definitely a lot of food in front of the computer in this video. So it's safe to say that like
I'm trying to see it. Oh yeah,
I just sent it to you. So like, and now you see more of the floor in this, and so like it's safe to say that probably a lot of work gets done in front of this computer and a lot of like...
Oh, okay. So this is not like a traditional... This is more of a computer setup, perhaps in a basement or like... It's sort of in a multi-purpose room. However, still, a salad is very much not a multi-purpose room food to me,
no,
I would say.
I agree with your take on salad, man.
This is fascinating stuff.
Best episode yet, baby.
I think it really is. I'm going to be haunted by that salad dressing for quite some time.
It's the shirt change that actually really fucks me up, because it's like
I think the shirt change supports the salad dressing in a sense.
In a sense, but then like why not move at that point? Be like, well, I'm going to put this back in the fridge. Like I'm changing my shirt, I might as well put the salad dressing back in the fridge. Like it's just the idea that you've gotten up, right? Like you've already done most. Oh, sorry, I've had so much Monster Energy drink to stay awake. You've already done the work. You've gotten up out of the computer chair. Damn. Oh, a lot of Monster Energy drink happening right now.
You should have some salad dressing to sort of settle your guts.
Just squeeze it into my mouth.
I wouldn't mind if people are looking for something to do. The Peggy Sue Challenge did work out really well. And I would love to see some covers of this chorus with different salad dressing placements. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, so this is the disaster dressing challenge?
The disaster salad dressing challenge, yeah. Okay. If anyone's into it, I mean, look, we're all just trying to wring as much content as possible out of this wet rag that is Blink-182.
But also, like, that is our entire lives at this point. Right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's move on. Both of those people did also use Ibanez's, which is sort of perhaps a tell about this song, because I know the violence one last week, people were really connecting with the Linux vibe. That if you like that song, you're a Linux user.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if this song is maybe for Ibanez players, perhaps.
Right. Interesting theory.
But this next person, Franz Georges, seems very French Canadian, perhaps. He's written
Pizza Getty enjoyer over here.
He's got also 10,000 views on this puppy. Been a while since I've covered a Blink song. I don't know that. I don't care.
Hey guys, sorry, it's been a while since I uploaded.
Yeah. I like the idea, though, that I read someone's upload and then just, like, shit on it. Like, why are you telling me this? I don't fucking care.
Yeah. It's like,
get to the point.
This person has created free content for our podcast. And you're like, fuck you.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. Get to the good stuff, bitch. Okay, this is he is playing the Tom DeLonge signature guitar, which is the Epiphone ES333. Now, is that the same reason why Bill Billingsley has 333 in his name? I don't know. We'll never know. I don't remember what this one's like. Just that long ass intro. Like, get to the fucking point. My first thought immediately is that this guy's too old to be doing this.
Yeah, like this guy's definitely maybe not my age, maybe your age. And not a lot of gray, but you know, he also I think has a cross hanging from his neck, correct?
He does, yeah. But I mean, that could just be an aesthetic choice.
It could just mean he's Italian.
Yeah, he seems kind of Italian.
Oh, also, I mean, the Quebecois they have a very complicated relationship with the church, but they're all Catholic as fuck.
Yeah, true. You know, okay. I mean, he just plays the song, but he's in like everyone's first condo that they rent out when they get their first adult job. But
it says,
I did.
This is the most like, and all you're really seeing is like I think the reflection of a window in the door, and I know exactly what you mean. This has like insane first condo energy.
Oh, he's finally doing it.
That's it.
And,
like,
and he's hanging on
out of the basement.
First condo, but I'm still gonna do my pop punk vids, obviously.
Yeah, just
I gotta hang on to my past. But the other thing I was gonna say, watching this, is like these Tom songs sound, and someone even described it somewhere as being like kind of complex, and there is a lot of chord changes and there's a lot going on. But he also just likes to do guitar leads that are just 3 notes on repeat the whole time, and then let everyone else mess it up in the background by switching the chords.
Yeah, it was
like this whole song is just like
but
it's insane.
Definitely like in the live video that you played, because in the actual version the bass just sort of stays constant, right? But in the live version, like Mark is definitely playing it down, which actually made it sound like he's adding a second note in there, which made it sound even more like another song. So please, like, if this song reminds you of, like let me know the 30 songs that this reminds you of, because it reminds me of 30 songs that I've been failing to place, like, for the last 2 hours.
But more importantly, do the salad dressing thing.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, what's it called again? The disaster.
I don't know. Who
salad
cares?
dressing challenge.
Wait, cover an Inepsy song with salad dressing.
Yeah, cover
in the
your
background.
favorite Inepsy song with what's just your favorite condiment? You know what I mean? It's the.
Oh wow! So you're really opening it up.
It's the crusty condiment challenge.
Okay. I think in a previous life, when we talked about stuff from this EP before, we did previously see this person, because this album art looks familiar to me, and it's a way better version of the Dogs Eating Dogs art.
Yeah, totally.
But it's not like, now it's no longer crust punk in any way. It's very like Sam Punk.
Oh yeah, this is like the emo end of me punk, but for sure. Like this band could play fest like once every 2 years. You know?
I don't, but I believe you. So this was uploaded by Tim Ball. Bandcamp is never on time. I don't know if that's like something of his band or something. But so this is an acoustic cover. There's tons of acoustic covers of this song. that the account called Inepsy Forever is still listening at this point.
Yeah, like this is the most crusty, the most Montreal that we get.
I actually liked that, to be honest.
Did you? Yeah, because it's like it's a decent song. Like the sort of like the melody is nice.
Yeah, there's some nice like cascading melody runs. They kind of go down, and it's it works really well. Like it would have been cool if Tom, instead of doing the things he tries to do, if he went small and did like an acoustic EP.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
right?
if he did like City in Color or something.
You should definitely.
What is that sound? Are you playing something over there?
I was trying, and so while that was happening, I was trying to find. I can't believe you can hear that. So like one of like an old friend of mine who I used to play in a bunch of bands with, he had this like solo project, and which turned into this like kind of like Warped Tour-y emo band, but the solo version of it was this like weird Bjork, like it was just like him singing, and he just like it was like the live show was kind of fun and freaky, and actually his name is Mueco, and I think he's a friend of the pod, so I should mention that to give him credit. And the band was Lacerda, and he now he does music under the name Ench, and he had this song that like the chorus like had disaster in it, and especially hearing it acoustic like made me like want to find it to play it, because it's been in my head, because it was like this very theatrical delivery of like disaster doesn't look right, and so I just like needed to exercise that demon. And I couldn't.
But you
couldn't do it.
But you
I couldn't do it. I don't have it anyway.
Instead, you've just completely now we have to start everything all over
We're
again.
gonna start the whole pod
Gate.
again. Sorry.
No, we're gonna instead listen to The Random Notes is the name of this person on SoundCloud. There's not very much info, but I really liked this acoustic one because it's just kind of like it's just very, very intimate sounding. Here we go.
Disaster, disaster. Disaster, disaster. Fall comes a loaded gun. Black dice for everyone. Can you read my mind? Fall in my arms again. Greystone that break apart. French bread, demonic art that come alive. Fall in my arms again. I'm scared of the dark, my friends. What do you fear, my love? Hold on, you're breaking up. Disaster, disaster.
Oh, yeah.
So
Turn the
good.
gain all the way up and be as quiet as possible. I love it.
It definitely sounds like a little bit like Reckless Abandon. I'm like when you sort of strip it all away, it's like the like it sort of conjures that melody a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, it's good.
I don't know. I love that cover. It gave me like a Mount Erie vibe.
Yeah, I just like that like lo-fi like doubled vocals, like just like always double your vocals.
Always, and always try to sound like Mount Erie, and
Yeah.
don't try to sound punk or like Dashboard Confessional. If you're being acoustic, sound like Mount Erie every time.
This is good.
However,
12 rules for the pod.
However, this guy does not sound like Mount Erie, and he's usually pretty good. And I'm talking, of course, about Coop from Wet Hot American Summer.
Yes, Coop.
So this is Odie acoustic. We know him. Some of us love him. Some of us also like him a lot. I don't think anyone could ever hate this guy, to be honest.
Honestly, this is like one of those like tests where like if you don't like Odie acoustic, like you're a serial killer.
Yeah, I mean, even I like him, and I am a serial killer. This has 150,000 views. Like, this guy's fucking killing it in the Blink front. This has as many views almost as the fucked up Blink-182 upload of the song.
Yeah, this is like we're like, man, this is like the dream that one day the pod can be bigger than the band. Odie acoustic has achieved that.
Yeah, exactly, and he does a really good job. Here we go.
Fall comes a loaded gun. Black ties for everyone. Can you read my mind? Fall in my arms again. Greystones that break apart. French braids, demonic art. The dead come alive. Fall in my arms again. I'm scared of the dark, my friend.
I will say it sort of reminds me of like One Tree Hill or something.
Yeah.
Though.
Honestly, I would let Odie like come back to my cabin after dark. You know, anytime. That's so lovely. A little jaunty,
it is
but
lovely. Yeah, like that's what I mean. It has like sort of the energy of like post the OC, of like, oh, we should have things that sound like indie music, but then it's just already too mainstream.
Right.
So
yeah.
it's One Tree Hill instead.
It's not my favorite Odie, but it's still Odie's.
It's still Odie's Odie.
Yeah,
know?
Exactly. Some Odie is better than no Odie.
Okay, up next, there's a couple left here, and then I'll let you get back to drinking Monster Energy drink.
Please no.
And churning and learning and doing all your business.
Churn and learn, baby.
This is just going to be a fun one to say, but this guy's name is Gaz.
Yes.
I mean, he's obviously British,
Gaz
right?
is the absolute boy.
Gaz Patterson. That reminds me of Waggy, another great.
God, Waggy is like a top 5 Blink-155 discovery.
Okay, so Gaz Patterson, he did like a pop punk. It sounds like he's trying to do a pop punk version. He didn't specifically say it, so not very good for SEO purposes. Like Future Idiots haven't even touched this song. What the fuck is going on with everyone here?
Weird, man.
All this missed opportunities. But here's what Gaz did. He looks like an absolute lad.
He got a big old Blink-182 shirt on, and he's got a puppet that he's pretending to sing with.
Yeah, Gaz has some fun.
Gaz, the absolute boy. Was that good? Did I do it?
Oh, yeah.
I want to have a show that's just called It's Gaz.
Oh, yeah, that's like every TV show in Britain.
Yeah.
You know, Gaz kind of reminded me, especially his sort of like impossible to determine age, perhaps from being aged more quickly by pounding so many pints. But Gaz's agelessness and sort of love of puppets and being zany reminds me of this character that I was working on before the pod, mostly just through Twitter threads. But someone I've been thinking about for a long time is a British guy named Barry. Like, they're all named Barry. And basically this British guy named Barry that I thought of is like probably in his mid-40s and might even be divorced, but he's moved to Canada to work at HMV head office. And he loves gorillas, and he always tells you to watch the show Spaced. And he wears like black shirts that are faded from being washed too many times, and they're from like Glastonbury 2004.
Yeah.
And it's like this whole character. Like, I feel like British guys named Gaz or Barry are all just sort of this like specific thing that I'll never understand, but you gotta love it.
Yeah, it's that's actual British culture. Like, people who are like worried about immigration and voted for Brexit, like, they are trying to protect their Gazes.
Yeah, they're trying to protect the guys who like wear threadless t-shirts with robots that have lions' heads on them or whatever.
Yeah, keep Britain British, you know?
Yeah, Gaz and Barry in the morning drive. We're ranking all the Arctic Monkeys releases.
Definitely.
Like, also, Arctic Monkeys are so bad.
The Blink-155 that is like us, but that is two British guys that are Gaz and Barry, is like all just their favorite Keen songs.
Yeah, totally. But also, like, the whole Funko Pop thing is like not a joke to those guys at all. Like, they're like.
Do you think every time you buy a Funko Pop, you like are joking?
Someone said they were going to start. That was the other thing my fans were going to be sending me, was starting my ironic Funko Pop collection. This is bullshit.
It's like a lot of money on shipping to just joke.
Anyways,
with you.
shout out to Gaz and Barry.
Shout out to
and
Gaz and Barry in
all
the
the other
morning.
Gazes and Barrys in the world.
Host
Keep,
of Keen 73 or whatever.
Keep telling your mates how good Deadpool is. Like, they love Deadpool so much also.
Yeah, that's...
They just do. I know that you do too, but I think you might have a little bit of Barry energy.
I'll be honest. Like, I like to think of myself as more of a Gaz than a Barry, but like I have, through the process of doing this pod and having to truly embracing talking about myself constantly, I got Gaz energy, man. I'm gazzed.
You're gassed up.
Yeah.
All right, there's two left. This one is, I guess, a remix and cover. It was uploaded by someone named Micken Roll. I don't understand this at all. Neighborhoods Eating Dogs, Blink Tribute EP. Disasters available on the Dogs Eating Dogs album. This has 58 views. I went very deep to find this. It sounds like this.
Back with another one of those block rockin' beats.
Oh, Barry loves that shit.
Barry loves Big Beat.
yeah, big. Barry has all the Fatboy Slim CD singles.
yeah. Hates rap or any contemporary electronic music, but just thinks like Fatboy Slim was.
Peak.
Peak, yeah.
It's quite the remix here.
Something with the synth always kind of sounds like Men Without Hats to me too. Like, we can dance if we want to. We can leave your friends behind. Our friends don't dance on it, but don't dance while they're not
Well, I can hear that.
Oh.
It sounds like a, like when you go to like a local film fest or like an underground film fest, and you're like, yeah, I like horror movies. I'm gonna like this, but then it's like too local and too underground, and it's like the most like painfully slow yet unnerving horror movie, and the soundtrack always sounds like this, like someone just like fucking just cracked Fruity Loops.
Right, like they're just like, I don't worry, my friend's got this, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah, like I'll go on a Ware's website and I get the crack, and then I can properly output the song.
To me,
it
sounded more like the music that would play under the like "Thanks to Our Volunteers" sort of like photo collage that would run before the movie started at one of those festivals, right?
Oh my god! Also, I just want to say no thanks to the volunteers. Fucking stop paying your creative director so much fucking money and spread it around a little, and don't make all these suckers volunteer all the time.
I mean, that's fine, but thanks to the volunteers still.
Well,
it's not the volunteers'
I guess
fault.
Since you're one of the bosses.
My mom volunteers, bro.
Oh, your poor mom.
I know, it's because I won't pay her.
You gotta tell her to organize. Time to unionize.
Form like a hot dogs volunteer union.
All right, finally, I'm ending on a simple, easy to digest, and yet so important note, which is a Nightcore version.
Yes. Sounds like hanging around by the Counting Crows when you play it like this, right?
Oh man, I love the Counting Crows. Hell yeah. It's so much better that way.
So good. Like, that's the perfect version of that song.
That's as far as I'm concerned, that's the only version. Hang on, I got to do this. I'm curious if they have like the loop bit at the end. No, so the person who made the Nightcore is more capable. I mean, that's not that surprising, I guess. Yeah. I mean, that's not surprising. The Nightcore community is a group of people that I respect.
Yeah, totally. They're sophisticated. So, Josiah, what are your final thoughts on the song Disaster by the band Inepsy?
There's no Inepsy Nightcore, unfortunately, so we have some work to do still in bridging all these communities together. And once we do, we're going to overthrow capitalism once for all.
That's the most powerful. That's what when they talk about intersectionality, they really
yeah. They're not talking about all that. They're not talking about all that other shit that you hear about. They're talking about specifically Montreal
Nightcore.
D-Beat fans, Nightcore content
DJs,
creators.
Yeah.
Let's see, Gaz and Barry.
Gaz and Barry, yeah. Fat Boy Slim fans.
Yo, I don't even remember this song, but this was a sick episode.
Welcome's a loaded gun. Blake dice for everyone. Can you read my mind? Fall in my arms again.
Thanks to Inepsy Gate, we're deep into now week 3 of what has accidentally become D-Beat season. So I needed to talk to somebody who knows what the fuck they're talking about. And there's very few people that can bridge the gap between the pod and the world of actual punks. And thankfully, we've got him. His name is Chris Goldsmith. He's a fan of the pod. And yeah, introduce yourself, Chris.
Hey, my name is Chris. Yeah, I'm a fan of the pod, and I'm in a few D-Beat bands, and I'm really into that style of music. And the Inepsy Gate thing was very funny, and I think it brought some new people into the fold.
Like it brought some new people into the pod world, you think, or?
I think it brought more people onto the Twitter, but
Yeah.
what I learned myself as well throughout all of this, that there are a lot of people in the Montreal punk scene that I had no idea listen to the pod that do. So that was pretty funny.
Okay, so that's one of my favorite things is you've been, and I've already talked about this at this point a little bit, but you've been trying to connect me with some true D-Beat titans, and it's not really working out. But my favorite thing that you were telling me is that, including yourself, a whole bunch of like punks are now, because of this, like trying to learn how to use Twitter and trying to learn how to DM and stuff.
Yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing on there.
So really, the pod is bringing the punks into the realm of being online, which is probably a bad idea.
Yeah, I think so.
So tell us first
I
of
think
all,
some people have grasped it more than others, but yeah, I'm still struggling a little bit.
What
it's
are
a confusing app?
That's fair. What are the bands that you play in?
I play in Mueco, Snara, No War, and Dark Circles.
Damn. And so why the hell are you, of all people, listening to a Blink-182 podcast?
Well, Blink-182 is, I guess, pretty important to me in how I got into all of that stuff from the beginning. So, I mean, I guess that's the main reason. Because they were kind of the first punk band I heard as a kid. So I think that started everything. For sure. So they have a special place in my heart, I guess.
Yeah. You told me off mic that you actually covered Blink-182 in like a teen band.
Yeah. So in one of my very early bands, we did a Benoit Balls cover, and it was at the age where like our adult neighbors were like, "Oh, you guys are in a rock band. You should come play my barbecue." And his name was Benoit, and like, obviously had no context of like what we were playing or if we were covering or playing originals or who was Blink-182. And during that song, he ran across the backyard naked. So it's just like a pretty good coincidence.
It all comes together. That's amazing. Well, the thing is, first of all, we forgot to mention, I think, oh no, you kind of hinted at it, but are you from Montreal originally, or what's the deal?
Yeah, I'm like from about 45 minutes out of the city.
Because the other thing that's really fascinating is like, first of all, punk in and of itself is so ridiculously vague and vast, and it's hard to define. But then also you've got Quebec, which is like the most confusing place on earth, where I feel like there's ska has never gone away, but also there's like D-beat, and I mean it just seems like a truly ridiculous punk province.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on. I don't know if you saw, but there's also a fest in Quebec City coming up that has Blink-182 and Imagine Dragons playing.
Don't worry, we've sent some emails to the relevant people to try to get out there.
I assumed, but there's definitely a lot of different punk scenes in Montreal for sure.
But
and ska has always been there.
Do they cross-pollinate at all? Like, I guess what I'm curious about is are D-beat fans snobs, or are they open-minded to other genres?
I mean, I guess you get some snobs in everything. I'd like to think they're more open-minded. I mean, most of my friends are open-minded. When I talk about the pod, they either laugh and walk away or engage with me, I guess. But it could go either way, I think.
Right. But having said that, like, I mean, in my mind, because I'm not deeply embedded in it, I've always imagined that D-beat is for, like, I mean, even the way that you speak so eloquently and kindly, you don't fit the D-beat persona that I've imagined in my mind, which is sort of like a Viking type character, like eating a chicken breast off of a trash can lid in an alley or something.
Okay.
Or like eating a fish skeleton. Like, I just feel like D-beat people seem a lot like 80s movie punks in a lot of ways. But you seem more like put to, even you sent, and that was the other funny thing that happened is in the middle of all this, Sam and I received a care package from you with like a bunch of your records and stuff, and you actually made a Tom DeLonge / Discharge mashup shirt.
Yeah, I thought that would be funny. Not many people wanted it, but I think it turned out pretty well.
I'm sure some people will want it after they hear this. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, I always thought that D-beat and pop punk were two separate streams that just happened to accidentally share similar melodic traits. But you're telling me that kind of pop punk was an entry point for you, just like everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, I think as genres go, they're very far apart. And I mean, there are people I know that are into D-beat that like pop punk. But, I mean, my pop punk knowledge is not very large either. I mean, Blink-182, I guess, is the main one for me.
Yeah.
But I mean, it crosses a little bit, but I wouldn't say musically at all, or like aesthetically, or the attitude of it and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, there's some people there that are into both.
Well, I heard a rumor once that, I forget who I heard this from. It's probably better that I don't say who I think it was. But I heard a rumor once that Tragedy had actually like stolen NoFX riffs for their early stuff. And I think that makes sense to me when I listen. It kind of like, I feel like NoFX The Decline could be a D-beat record if the lyrics were better.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know about that. I'd say so. Riffs. I mean, I did used to be into NoFX at one point, so if it was pointed out to me what song, maybe I could pick it out. But yeah. But
so tell me, like, kind of what's been going on with Inepsigate. What's the vibe on the scene? Because I've seen you've been posting. I think it was you. I don't know. It seems like all of a sudden there's all these like punks like posting pod related stuff, and it's so hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I played a show on Saturday, and the second I walked into the venue, someone approached me to talk about the pod, and then we went outside to not bother the other people around us, and immediately another person walked up to talk about it, and then a whole other group walked up to us. Like, it all happened like very quickly, and it was a big group of people all of a sudden talking about the podcast in front of an anarcho-punk / D-beat show. So that was interesting.
That's so good. I love it. Wow. And so was anyone actually mad that I got Inepsi's hometown wrong, allegedly? I mean, the other thing that's going on is well, I've already mentioned this as well, but the other thing that's going on is there is actually more to the story in that there is some discrepancies with where they're actually from or not from. But I mean, were people mad about it? It doesn't, like, are D-Beat fans like hardcore record collector nerds where like it's all about trivia and stats and shit?
Yeah, I think that goes along with most punk genres.
So I really fucked up, didn't I?
Most people just thought it was funny, to be honest. I mean, I was talking with JP from an FC a lot while it was going on, and he just thought it was hilarious. He was sending me screen caps of like an FC back patches he's never seen before. So,
and now the other, there's so many hilarious things going on, but now something called, I think, like Inepsi True Fans or something. There's like some Inepsi fan account that's Inepsi Forever. They're now interacting with the podcast, and I'm just so excited that this sort of cluster of people has joined the fold.
Yeah, but like I said, I think they've been there all along. They just
we just awoken the beast.
There's finally a reason to show themselves now.
But then I also saw elsewhere, I'm not going to name any names, but a bunch of the Fest punks tried listening to an FC and they were not having it. They were not into it at all.
Yeah, I can see it going that way as well.
So I guess I should ask you, because you sent me a video and I'm going to plug it in after we talk about it, but how do you define the D-Beat?
Like, how do I define it?
Yeah, like the actual
itself?
Well, I guess both, right? Because it's a genre, but it's also tied to a specific drum beat, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I guess I should use the term D-Beat loosely because it encompasses like a ton of stuff, and there are definitely people that will get mad if I say something wrong. But
right, yeah, trust me, I know.
but yeah, I mean, it's a pretty big genre that covers a lot of stuff. The beat itself, I guess, was popularized by like Discharge and the Verruchers and stuff. But even before that, like, there's a Buzzcocks song that has a D-Beat at the beginning, which I can't remember the song name, but if you look up like Buzzcocks D-Beat, you'll find it right away, I'm sure.
Right.
But it's a very specific drum beat, I guess. That's it's sounds easy. It's a little complicated to learn. Once you get it, it's fairly easy after that. But yeah, I mean, not all D-Beat bands just have D-Beats throughout their entire songs.
Right.
It varies and stuff, but yeah, it encompasses a lot. It's a big genre with a ton of bands.
Well, okay,
very interesting.
Before we talk about that a little bit more, so you did send me this video that I'm going to plug in right here, which is the dude from the Verruchers explaining what the D-Beat is, and I was shocked that he doesn't even think that you're allowed to play the hi-hat with the D-Beat.
Well, I played drums in one of those bands I mentioned earlier, and I don't even use a hi-hat. I just have two crashes, which I find is louder and more aggressive, I guess.
Right. Okay, so here's the dude from the Verruchers explaining what the D-Beat is.
Hey, I'm Brian. Just want to show you what D-Beat drumming is and what it isn't. D-Beat is a punk drumming style we did in the early 80s with Verruchers, Discharge and bands like that. I'm one of the creators. If you look at Wikipedia, you'll see it on there. Other guy, Gary, my mate at school and from the same village as me, who was a drummer at Discharge. I was a drummer of the Verruchers. Yeah, the style is kind of got a bit distorted. People saying it's, you know, double bass drums and hi-hats and stuff like that. It's not. It's pure cymbal, it's pure and simple, sorry. Cymbal, bass drum, snare drum. It's not, you know, it's not with the cymbal, hi-hat, it just don't sound right. It's with the cymbal, like this. And that's it. That's D-Beat, pure and simple. Not two bass drums, not double bass drum pedals, nothing like that. No hi-hat, just straightforward cymbal, snare, bass drum. Thanks for watching. I'll be back.
The other thing I love about D-Beat is that, like all subcultures, it has gotten to the level, from what I can tell from afar, where like there is this hierarchy and infighting where people fucking hate certain bands because they sound too polished or too famous. And what is it called, like arena crust or something, or like stadium crust? What is the diss for like the too clean cut D-Beat bands?
Ooh, I'm not sure. I've never actually heard that term before, but I know by you saying it exactly what you would mean by it.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, there isn't that much drama that I experience really around that kind of thing. I mean, there's definitely bands that people think are too produced or whatever, or not enough.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really seem to get to a point where people will like give you shit for listening to them or whatever. Right.
Well, apparently not, because you're all listening to a Blink-182 podcast this whole time.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You're all very...
We're all full of shit, really.
It's kind of amazing. Well, I guess, yeah, I mean, I'm just so glad that this happened, and I'm so glad that it's been sorted out, kind of, even though we did get turned down from someone who knows the guys from Tragedy. Told you to tell me that they're not going to ask them to come on the pod. So, so unfortunately, that dream has died.
Yeah.
But, you know, I am open to talking to basically, and I guess the thing is, like, I don't want to talk to someone who likes Blink-182 or likes the podcast. I want to talk to someone who is, like, an angry caveman who thinks they're way too good for all of this, and sort of let them lay into me. I just want to be punished a little more. You've been too polite.
I mean, they definitely exist. I think the challenge would be getting them on the podcast.
We need to come up with some sort of entrapment to get them on.
Yeah, you would have to say it's some sort of music podcast, maybe leave out the Blink-182 part.
Yeah, that was exactly the pitch that I did when I emailed Discord Records to try to get Ian Mackay, but I still gave away too much because I got a rejection notice. So one day.
Yeah, it's a touchy, it's hard to get some people on board, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think they just probably think that we love Blink-182 on this podcast, which is just a real misread of the whole thing.
Yeah, there's some real high and lows.
Along with everything. So I guess in addition to checking out your bands, what do you think people should check out if they want to like get into DB or more importantly, actually I should have asked you this right away. What is the integral D-Beat costume to wear?
That's I mean a lot of studs, obviously.
Right.
Painted jackets, charged hair. The headbands, that's pretty crucial. Dangly earrings. High boots, the higher the better.
How about a bum flap?
Yeah, that's I think that's more of a street punk thing. I don't really see that too often, and it's usually like Casualties when I see that.
Right.
Which is a different ballpark.
It's a whole different ballpark, yeah.
Yeah.
That's too bad. Because bum flaps are really hilarious to me.
Yeah, I was into street punk when I was like in high school, and I never went for the bum flaps. So
I don't think anyone.
I don't really get those.
Yeah, I mean, I may or may not be in the process of making a handful of Blink-155 bum flaps, but that will be announced at a later date if that does happen.
Yeah, that may change my opinion on them.
Okay, it's cool. And so, what bands should people check out other than yours?
I mean, I guess the big one, my favorite, is Discharge, and then after that, I guess Disclose is the other really big one, and then I don't know. From there, you can go wherever you want. But those are the two main ones, I would say. Yeah,
it seems like it's funny. Like after those two, then how did they end up with Dysphere eventually? Like that's not even a phrase. It doesn't make sense at all. Dysphere.
Oh, there's a lot of bands with just dis and then a word that don't seem to make sense.
Disband. But, check out Disband.
I mean, there's even like Discharged, which is yeah.
In Quebec,
pretty much.
Quebec, when you say discharge, do people think you're saying this charge?
No, unless you're talking about the band called This. Wait, did you say Discharge? Because there's Disclose. is a real band.
This close? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for helping bridge the gap between these two things. And hopefully there can be more peace and unity in the punk scene. And eventually Inepsy will reunite for Riot Fest or something. And it'll be perfect. Or Pooza.
We can only hope.